everyone. Welcome into another episode of the Transforming Hospitality podcast. Really excited today. Myself and John are going to have a guest on. Our guest is Carly Eglin, and she is actually the co-founder and chief operating officer at Seasonal Connect, and also the chief officer at Pavilion Law. So she knows a lot about the H2B industry, also about the seasonal work industry. And we know this information is really going to benefit our viewers. And we're really excited to showcase the platform that Carly has been part of, which is called Seasonal Connect. And I was hoping, Carly, if you could just introduce yourself a little and let us know how you got into Seasonal Connect.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, by the way. I'm excited to chat with you today. So I'm Carly Eglin. As you mentioned, I'm the COO at and co-founder at Seasonal Connect. We started Seasonal Connect, I want to say 3.5 years ago we launched, but we actually started talking about it, my co-founder Keith Pabian and I want to say the fall of 2020. We used to go on pandemic walks where we'd be 6 feet apart and just kind of chat about the idea. But it actually came from Keith has a separate business that assists with the employers getting H2B workers into the country and helping them with the worker visas. And so we hear from them all the time, from the seasonal employers all the time about the struggles to find these workers and then also make a really great experience for the H2B workers as well while they're in America. So that's kind of where Seasonal Connect was born. I myself, um, I used to work as a seasonal worker. I am American. I was born on Cape Cod in Massachusetts, but I worked seasonally in high school and in college, just given the nature of, where I was living. So I've seen a huge part of this kind of side by side with the H2B workers as well.
Very good, very good. Quick launch from like a organization you were saying you were talking about over the course of maybe 6 months, and then you went into operationals.
With Seasonal Connect?
Yeah.
Yes. It was great because we have a lot of people in the network, a lot of employers that we know of that are doing this, that are hiring H2B workers that have that seasonal nature to their business. And so I think where there was such a demand for a network like this, it was pretty easy to just spread the word and get people excited about having this at their fingertips and being able to connect with not only other seasonal employers, but with the workers as well.
Good.
So
So
I
very
know.
much it's a, sorry, Sarah, I was just going to say, so it sounds like it's very much a community driven platform.
Yes, absolutely. We're big on community. We really try to connect everyone. That's kind of where the name comes from. We want employers to connect. We want workers and employers to connect and just kind of not only help, get the workers a position and get the employers fully staffed, but also allow the employers to have some resources for what are best practices and kind of how can I better support those workers and what makes for a really great season for them so that they want to come back the following year. So it's a lot of community where people are sharing some of those tips that they've found along the way.
Very good.
And I would say, like, for this podcast, an intention is to share some information for the employer, whether they are a H2B employee or whether they are an employee who is an American resident already, who is looking for seasonal work, how they can more seamlessly apply for jobs. As I myself have been in that position, I would have loved to have Seasonal Connect had it been around when I was in that position. And also to educate maybe some of the hospitality companies a little bit of how they can benefit from Seasonal Connect and maybe make the experience a little better as well for the H2B or seasonal staff to have that retention as well. So with that being said, I would love to get a little bit of an insight for how the Seasonal Connect platform works and how can job seekers firstly go about finding a job through Seasonal Connect.
Sure, absolutely. So with Seasonal Connect, in terms of the jobs, being able to find jobs, I'll start there. We have a platform, and so for the workers, they can sign up for free for Seasonal Connect. They get their own profile where they can really highlight who they are, what kind of job they're looking for, and also their past experience, so that when they're able to link up with these employers, everything that those employers want to know is right there on their page. They can also upload their resume and they can really highlight what they are looking for. So they can tell, they can explain on their profile page, what kind of seasonal employer do they want to work for, and what kind of positions are they looking for as well. So for those job seekers, they can actually log in and they can do two different things to find jobs. They can search for the employers. So they can look if they're really looking for a specific kind of experience or they want to be in a certain part of the US. They can search for those employers and just kind of see who's going to be the best fit. Um, on those employer pages, because employers also have their own profile, they can post jobs. So the workers can then go in and apply to those jobs through Seasonal Connect to get in contact with those employers. They can also search for jobs separately of the employers. So if they have a really specific job in mind, they want to be maybe a bartender at a private club and they know they want to be in, let's say, Massachusetts, they can drill down into that and really look for those specific jobs and then go into, okay, which employers have those available for me?
And Carly, is it mostly in country, or is it for people who are looking to come in from overseas for their first H2B that should be looking at Seasonal Connect as well?
That's a great question. It's a good mix. I'll say the demand for the out of country H2B workers is high in general. So we do have a good population of the out of country H2B workers, but there are plenty of in country H2B workers as well. And then we do have seasonal Americans and J1s in the system as well. So kind of runs the gamut for seasonal
Very
jobs.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that you mentioned that the platform can allow the employee to have some of those narrow and search options. As from my experience on the H2B visa as well, I saw that there's not just one kind of person who wants seasonal work, whether it's on the H2B or seasonal work. What I found is like there's three main categories from what I've seen. There's the people who want the adventure, who want an experience abroad and value living in different places. There is people who want to come and make money, and that money can transfer more into their currency and that they can send that home. And then there's also the career-driven group as well who want to come and progress on their career as well. So I like that. It sounds like the platform can kind of cover all of those areas where people can narrow down their search for what they are looking for as well. Yeah. How can H2B visa holders go about finding an employee on Seasonal Connect? I know you mentioned that they will upload some of their information and you will go through that process. And then what would happen from there?
Sure. So from there, they can search for those jobs and the workers can search for employers that are specifically looking for either in-country H2B workers or H2B workers that are outside of the country. So that is a filter they can use to just kind of drill down into those jobs only rather than if an employer is looking for, say, American workers only. From there, they would apply to the job, and then that's where we are still here to support the worker and support the employer, but we kind of step back a little and let the employer and worker handle it from there, where they would just go through the typical interview process and work with the employer to make sure that they get their visa. So that's where Seasonal Connect I think is a little different than, say, a recruiter. We don't place the worker. We just help them connect with the employer and then kind of step out from there.
Yeah. So you don't have to do all of the, as I would say at times, the hand holding as I take them through the 48 steps to getting on a plane to Florida.
Yes, and it's a lot. I really commend these workers. I mean, it's a huge step, it's a huge journey, and um it's a really great experience. And I think there's just so many hoops that they have to jump through to come to the US and work here. So it's really incredible what they're doing.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot involved for both sides.
Yes.
I mean, I think there's also equally a phenomenal amount of paperwork and I's that have to be dotted and T's crossed from the organization's point of view before they can even go down the road of saying, okay, we're actually ready to start speaking to people who potentially might come and work with us. And I think sometimes, I suppose I see both sides of it, where the people who are looking for the jobs don't fully understand and appreciate the not just the financial cost, but the time and energy that an organization puts into being able to bring them over. And especially for the ones who go, down the route of providing accommodation and transportation and all of those bells and whistles with it. It's like it's a big investment of time and energy. And I think people sometimes possibly need to have that sort of explained to them a few times. And then I think also for the people, as you said, going over, like it's a massive uprooting of their life to sort of, get on a plane and go to a new country, to work in a new environment, to share with people they might never have met before, and hope it sort of all works out well. I'm sure ye at times get a lot of that sort of same, frustration coming back from the organizations or from the people that are using the platform as to, how maybe they felt something should have been better or wasn't as good as it should have been. And is that a big part of your role that you play with Seasonal Connect, Carly, or who ends up dealing with all of that side of it?
That's a great question. So that is a huge goal of ours, is to help the employers with a few different things and the workers. So we really want to work with the employers to help them find that housing, help them find a way for the workers to get to and from work, and really everything in between, so that the worker experience is as positive as possible. And
Yeah,
then there's less friction, I would say, between the employer and the worker, because as you mentioned, there's so much that goes into this on both sides. And so, while it's a wonderful process, that leaves so many opportunities for things to go wrong. And so, our role is to really help those employers to make the best experience possible, so that the workers also have the best experience while they're there with those employers.
yeah, it's amazing.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
would say I was very lucky to have the experience on the H2B visa of I actually went, Seasonal Connect wasn't around at the time. I actually went through the company John was working for at the time, believe it or not, called Workaway, and they really did help my hand through that process. But what I found the most difficult was I had such high expectations for what each season would be after having my hand held through that process and having such a high standard for what we want on the visa, like having that great living condition, having that work-life balance, able to take some days off and just enjoy that experience. And I found that a little more difficult when I was going independently then to applying for my extension seasons, especially having to go through that process alone, which is where that's the main part where I wish Seasonal Connect was around for my time, where it seems that that platform is available to go on. And instead of doing a random Google search and hoping that they employ H2Bs and calling them and putting them down, it seems like it's just on that platform for them as well. But I know we did want to speak a little bit as well to the companies who are in hospitality who do have that demand for seasonal employees, be it H2B, J1, in-country workers. And I know you help them out as well. So I'm just wondering how they can, if they're listening, can benefit from using Seasonal Connect and how that can enhance their experience of both finding and retaining seasonal staff for their season.
Sure, absolutely. So we assist seasonal employers in a few different ways. We really do believe that when seasonal employers work together, they can solve challenges. So, um, the biggest challenge I would say that we're helping them solve is finding these H2B workers, the J1s, the Americans, and identifying the best workers for their organization, and really helping them to understand how to how to talk with those workers so that the workers are having a great experience as well. And then everybody, has a positive experience and the workers are able to come back if they'd like to. We also help them with everything in between. So we help them with housing, transportation, as well as things like how to prevent burnout with the workers, how to make sure that their managers are all on the same page so that whatever is told to the worker in the interview is actually happening when they get there.
Yeah.
Um, and just identifying resources for how to enhance the worker experience overall. Um, is a huge part of what we do. And then I apologize, I forget the second part of your question.
No, it's okay. So how can the employers use Seasonal Connect to find, and then I think you already answered the part of how they can retain by creating that experience for the employee. So how
Yeah.
would they go about using your website to find the potential employees?
So there's a few different ways that seasonal employers can find seasonal workers with Seasonal Connect. The biggest way that and really what Seasonal Connect started off as, and it's us at our core, is finding other seasonal employers that have the opposite busy season to their own and partnering with them. And the reason why this is so special is because that allows them to talk with these other employers, make sure that their workplace culture kind of aligns, make sure that what they're looking for with their staff aligns. And then they can actually, if the workers want to, they can all travel together from one employer to the next as a group. So for the workers, it's kind of this more cohesive experience where they're comfortable in a team, they know who they're working with. And for the employers, they're able to hire more workers at one time rather than finding them one by one. And they know that they're qualified. Because they're working with that opposite season employer, they're kind of getting these workers that come with a recommendation of the quality of the work that they do. So that's the biggest way. Employers can also search for the workers if they really are looking for a specific kind of worker. And then they can post jobs as well so that the workers can apply to those jobs.
Yeah, and I was having a little look around on your platform, and I loved the fact for an employer who's maybe, on the fence and not sure, they can sort of, it seems like, if I'm correct, they can go ahead and go month by month. They can set themselves up, they can do a bit of recruitment, they can go in, they can jump out of it, they can cancel it, they can rejoin. I'm sure it gives them a nice bit of flexibility and the sort of, I suppose, the room to get comfortable with how it operates and works for eventually, hopefully, seeing the benefits of joining as a full-time organization and sort of, as you said, really getting involved in that community element of it, which even with the clubs we work with in Florida, we see as being, the smarter ones definitely have those connections made with their summer clubs and they invite them down and they'll have a day and they'll set up the interviews and like that. Their team will move up for the summer and then likewise they'll move back for the winter. And what they find being really beneficial is not only do they all know that the employees are continually developing and growing their skills within the same style of environment and club, but they also able to sort of trade with each other as to, okay, well, we definitely want them back a little bit earlier than that. So what if we release them and let them go to you a little bit earlier? And then they're able to almost barter back and forth on start and finish dates. So that definitely is very beneficial to them. And from some of the people we've over the years heard the feedback of, they sort of enjoy it because it feels like two different family environments that they're working with. And they also get to negotiate. Yeah, but I sort of want 3 weeks off between the summer and the winter season to do a bit of a trip. So they're able to sort of negotiate as well on that side of it.
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you said it feels like a family at both employers that they're working with. I think that's accurate. And a big part of what we do is kind of help those employers figure out how to be a good partner to one another. So like you said, if they need the workers a week earlier, maybe their partner can allow that. But then on the opposite side of the end of that season, maybe the other employer can let them leave a week early. So just kind of helping them navigate what that looks like, because each employer is unique and has different needs. And so it's just kind of talking through that with these potential partners to make sure that the workers are able to go to both employers and both employers are on the same page.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really love the fact that it seems like you're almost sort of playing that, referee in the middle between both sets of teams and between the organizations and the people, but at all times almost reminding them like we all need each other. Like if we're going to be successful, like you need to take care of the people you need to show up and deliver for the club. Clubs need to work with each other. Like it's one of the things we talk a lot about here in Ireland. Like if the industry doesn't embrace the fact that the people who are working in it are all people, and likewise, the employees understand that the managers and the owners are equally people, and we all need to take care of each other. And obviously, at the end of the day, the guests walking into the front door are definitely people who want to be valued and taken care of. It does really epitomize the whole hospitality industry as a people's business. And sometimes I think maybe a little bit more focus on that is definitely what's needed. But as I said, looking through your platform and your socials, it seems to come out sort of at every sort of step of the way. We're here to try and help you all have a great experience and get what you need out of it.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we just want to help. We want the workers to be able to find the right job for them, and we want the employers to be able to fully staff themselves so that nobody's spread too thin, ideally. But it's a family, it's a community. Seasonal hospitality is its own world, I would say. It's very niche. And so I think one of our goals is to really create that safe space where everyone that's trying to work towards that common goal is in one place and can put their heads together to solve some of these problems.
Pretty good.
Awesome. Well, I think we covered quite a good amount of information in this episode already. And what I love mostly is that we touch on that aspect of community and the people business, but not only from the aspect of focusing on hospitality companies serving their guests, but also serving their employees and also the employees understanding what maybe the company went through to get them over as well. So enjoy that we opened up that conversation where everyone can learn a little bit from each piece of the puzzle and hopefully have more appreciation for each part of it as well.
Yeah,
I
for
love
sure.
I love
And
the idea.
as I was saying earlier on before we jumped on, I've been very excited to have this sort of at least introduction to yourself, Carly, into Seasonal Connect, and hopefully we can continue to develop and grow the relationship over the years to come as well. Because, yeah, as I said, I do think it sounds like we're all looking to do the same thing, which is just try and help the hospitality industry maybe be a better place and attract more people who want to actually come and have careers in it.
Absolutely. No, I really appreciate that. I'd love to continue our conversations and to work together. And I really love what you and Sarah are doing with this podcast. I think hospitality is its own special world. And so, at the end of the day, we're all trying to just drive it in the right direction. And I think you all are doing that by sharing the information and chatting with people.
Cheers.
Well, thank you, Carly. I'm sure we would love to have you on another episode, and I know you are on a schedule and need to get on with your day. So we'd love to, I'm sure, invite you back another time. But if you can
Sure.
let people know for now, maybe where they can find you, and obviously we know they can search Seasonal Connect as well.
Sure, absolutely. And thank you for having me. I'd be happy to come back. If they need to reach out to me, the best email and the easiest email is info@seasonalconnect.com. So that kind of goes to our entire team, and then that way we can get everyone to the right person. But info@seasonalconnect.com is probably the best way to reach all of us.
Fabulous. Carly, as Sarah said, really appreciate your time and thanks for joining us on the show. And we definitely will be having you back on again at a future date to share some more insights into everything with the world of H2Bs and J1s and the seasonal workforce.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been a pleasure, and I'll be listening to your future episodes.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Awesome. Have a
Cheers,
good one,
Sarah.
everyone.
Take care.